The Atlantic Meridional overturning circulation stopped once before, and when it did, Britain's climate flipped from mild to nearly tundra in about a decade. The AMOC pulls warm water northward from the tropics, delivering heat that keeps Europe 5 to 10 degrees Celsius warmer than the same latitude anywhere else on the planet. Shut that current down, and you don't just lose warmth, you shift the entire circulation pattern that feeds the world's weather. Here's how it works. Salt-heavy water from the evaporating Mediterranean sinks in the North Atlantic and pulls more water northward behind it, like the pump in a furnace. The whole circuit takes about 1,000 years to complete one lap, but it's the engine behind everything from Florida's hurricanes to the monsoons that drench Africa and India. Switch it off, and 3 things go wrong immediately. First, the Northern Hemisphere loses its heat transfer. The Gulf Stream carries the equivalent of 27 million power plants worth of thermal energy northward every second. Cut that flow, and the Atlantic's north coast gets colder, but the tropics get hotter. The temperature gradient that drives your local weather flattens, so hurricanes form more easily and linger longer, while the jet stream that usually steers them around becomes chaotic. Second, sea level rearranges. Without the overturning circulation pulling water northward, the Atlantic surface piles up along the equator instead, raising sea level in the Caribbean and Florida by up to 2 meters in just a few decades, while it actually falls along Scotland and Scandinavia. The coasts that depend on that water shift overnight. London and New York would see lower tides, the Bahamas would drown. Here's the twist. The current is already slowing down. Since the 1950s, the AMOC has weakened by 15%, and the North Atlantic is fresher now than it's been in 1,000 years, because Greenland's melting ice dumps fresh water into the sinking zone and breaks the chain. Push it past a threshold. Maybe we already have, or maybe it takes another 20 years, and it doesn't restart. The collapse of the overturning happened twice in the last ice age, and both times it sent temperature crashes across the Northern Hemisphere so fast the ice built back up in less than a century. Europe would feel it worst. Ireland and Scotland would cool into a subarctic climate while the tropics baked. Monsoon rainfall would shift, draining the agriculture that feeds 2 billion people. The Atlantic fisheries would collapse because the nutrient upwelling that feeds the fish would stop. And once it stops, the models say it stays off. The next restart is 300 years away, if the climate ever recovers enough to try. Here's the question for the comments. If your region was locked into a permanent shift, colder or hotter, wetter or drier, would you stay and adapt, or pack it in? And the shutdown is one way the climate can flip. What happens if the other ocean's circulation breaks is waiting on your screen right now.